we're good to go. We're going to start with this in reverse order. So, rule set that we're operating under, we're assuming that this is 4 players, right? So this is either like doubles or just 4-player free-for-all on a typical stage, nothing crazy. So like if you're playing Smash and a couple items spawn on the ground, which ones do you go for first? That's what this tier list is, okay? Okay. Starting from the bottom. What is this thing called? The XBomb or whatever? What is this? XBomb. Oh, hey, I was right. This is the XBomb. Dude, so the thing about the XBomb, okay, you do have to kind of get lucky, all right? So, like, let me explain it. S tier is free stock. A tier is kind of try hard to get the free stock. And then B tier is have to be smart about getting the free stock, right? Because that's really what items are. Items are for getting kills unless they heal. The X-Bomb, when you throw it, I think it's random whether it goes with X or plus, right? Which is why it's the X-Bomb, not the plus bomb, because... Anyway, so it won't catch you or your teammate if you throw it. It will catch the opposing party. So there's no actual downside to using it, all right? So that, and you know, it's not really gonna kill, but it might. It's kind of a 50-50 as to whether or not it catches somebody who's edge guarding or whatever, but it's great for damage. It's pretty solid. Warp Star. Dude, yes. Okay, so Warp Star has been in since 64, hasn't it? At least Melee, but I think also 64. So the way the Warp Star works, you grab the Warp Star, you like just go up, you know how Kirby is, and you can actually adjust left or right relative to where you picked up the thing on where you want to hit. Okay, so the good news is that you can target players and they won't be able to tell because you'll just come flying at the speed of light. All right. The bad news is if you're not good at this, or if you're on a stage that kind of has like moving platforms or something, like Jungle Japes maybe, you can like SD with that, which is not great. So the downside is you have to be good at using the Warp Star to adequately use the Warp Star. If you are good at using the Warp Star, that usually kills at like 60% on most opponents. Like it's really quite effective, and it's practically unavoidable. All right. So I think the Warp Star is pretty darn good. The Unira. Bet you didn't know the name of this. That's the Unira. It's also worthless. I mean, it has minimal utility as an edge guarder, but even when edge guarding, you know, if you use your upbeat... So if you put that thing on the ledge, that's the spike thing, right? So... We'll pull this up. Yeah, remember this? The spike-looking thing? That. You can stick that on a ledge, okay? That is... Oh, I just realized my camera's probably in the way. You didn't see the first one. That's okay. That's doable, but if you use your up B to recover, you get hit by the thing, it refreshes your up B. So you just go over it with your second up B, and then you live. Right? So it's like, it's not helpful for edge guarding because your opponent just lives. It just takes them longer to get back to the stage. It doesn't really do anything. So that's arguably the worst item in the game, in my opinion. The timer. Honestly, dude, you got to get lucky with the timer. Because I think there's like a 3/4 chance where it behaves how you'd expect, where it slows down everything else and you can just do whatever. And that's cool. Giving your opponent easy reaction time so that he can just, like, you know, recover if you spike him or something, that's not that helpful. But it's great for building up damage, getting free combos, that sort of thing. Especially because the knockback of your stuff is reduced or, like, slowed down until the timer wears off. I think there's, what is it, like a 1 in 4 chance that it slows you down instead. So it's semi-random, right? And you got to get lucky. And, so I consider C tier to be, it could be great if you're lucky, and then D tier to be, it's just not going to happen. Sorry. Super Spicy Curry, same thing. It's a bunch of very small little hitboxes. You have an opponent with a reflector, like Fox and Downby. He just camps in Downby, and then you're hitting yourself with your Super Spicy Curry. It's worthless. The increase in move speed isn't great because it just interrupts. If you're gonna like try and hit an opponent with a smash attack, you got your Super Spicy Curry, you're just gonna end up like slightly pushing them out of your range, and that's not good for anything at all. You can't edgeguard with it because it refreshes their up special. You can't combo with it because it is, well, you can if you get lucky to an extent, because it just kind of moves them out of the way of your combo. So it's really not helpful at all. Super Scope. Yeah, I'm thinking you got to be kind of smart about Super Scope, but it's very doable. In a 4-player environment, so you have two options with the Super Scope. You can press A and get the little tiny balls, which are not very helpful, or you can charge A, and you can get bigger or, what's the word? Bigger or larger, it's the same thing. You get bigger balls the more you charge it, that's the point. The bigger balls do more knockback, okay? You get 3 fully charged Super Scope shots, alright? So those 3 can kill, pretty effectively too. And if you're in the chaos of a doubles environment, and you manage to get enough distance, you can end up getting a free KO by just letting her rip. The problem is, if you're in a doubles environment, or a 4-man match, you're probably not going to be left alone long enough to really be able to charge something like that. So, it's risky, and you do have to be smart about it. If you're on a smaller stage, it may be best to just, build up some free damage on your opponents with the rat-a-tat, the little balls, A-tapping. We'll see, right? It's very contextual to why you have to be smart about getting the kill with that. Dude, the Super Mushroom, there's upsides and downsides to Giant, okay? The upside is that I think it lasts for 10 seconds? Something like that? The upside is that all of your attacks have a lot more range. Tons and tons of attacks, okay? Or tons and tons of range. And they do a lot more KO power. I think it's 2 or 3 times as much knockback, alright? And a lot more damage. The downside is you're going to get hit by everything. All the time, okay? And your up B, depending on your character, is actually not improved. So, if you get spiked, you fall faster and you don't recover better. You know what I'm saying? So the upside of the Super Mushroom is that, obviously it's great for getting kills. The downside is that depending on the stage, it leaves you really vulnerable. And you're going to get hit by everything because you're such a ridiculous target. Having said that, it's definitely up there. Slower characters, or characters that get killed easier, do not make it as much use of it. But if you're like Ganondorf and you have a Super Mushroom, just press right or left on the C-stick and you just got yourself a kill. Because that huge Doria smash attack, you just got it for free. Oh, and Ike, because they have I think they have exactly the same smash attacks, actually. Super Leaf, kind of helpful in recovery if you just really like being an easy target. Okay, Steel Diver. That was what it's called, right? Steel Diver? So the Steel Diver is basically just the banana gun, but more ammo. I mean, really. The thing about the Steel Diver is that, what do you get, 8 shots? 16 shots, maybe? I don't know. The projectiles are actually pretty good at killing. Right? The thing is, when you first launch them, they're slow. Okay? And then they speed up. So it's right? So you have to predict where your opponent's going to be. It's really good for edge guarding, and it's really good for stage control. If it gets reflected back to you, you're dead. Just immediately. Alright? Just sign your will. You're done. Okay? But I do recommend Steel Diver. I often shoot for it. Especially in a 4-player match or doubles. You're going to hit somebody. I mean, it's not, bad by any stretch, The hitbox on the little submarine things that it shoots. They really just bent over backwards to fit this game into fit the Steel Diver game into Smash. The hitbox on those is still pretty small, but they move quickly enough that it'll still be effective. So Steel Diver is not that bad. It's hard to target. Well, you know what? It's hard to target people, but you can do it. I think you can do it. The star, geez, yeah. The Starman, the invincibility. You get 8 seconds of invincibility. Sometimes it's wasted, but it's usually not. The 8 seconds of invincibility is very helpful. It doesn't necessarily help you land kills, except for the fact that you can't be interrupted when you're chasing the guy down. The only downside is that the second you get the invincibility, like the music changes, you start flashing, suddenly everyone's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna run. And it's actually much, much easier to run away from your opponent in Smash than it is to successfully attack your opponent, right? Well, when there's no chance of successfully attacking your opponent for the next 8 seconds, you're gonna run away. So, you know, it's great at breaking up a fight. You're not gonna have tremendous success based on the Starman itself, though. You have to be smart about how you use this, right? If you waste the Starman, you waste the Starman. Ripperoni. The Star Rod, I think it actually has decent knockback scaling. Not a lot of base knockback. You can fully charge this thing and just shoot it into a crowd, and it'll usually hit somebody. It's not great, but it's not terrible, you know? It's not reliant on RNG like the timer. Is that... Oh, that's right. This is the non-existent tier. So is that really C tier? Yeah, I'd say that's C tier. That's C tier. I think up close it hits a little bit harder than a typical smash attack, but that depends on your character and its smash attacks and all that. The projectile is not great. Using it as a battering ram isn't great. The nice thing about throwable items is that if an opponent is recovering, no matter what it is, you can just chuck it and it will refresh their up B, but depending on the weight of the throwable item, it'll actually do a lot of damage, right? Home Run Bat, I think, is the heaviest one, obviously. And so you can just, like, chuck the Home Run Bat at somebody, right? Well, you can do that with the Star Rod, too. It's helpful. What is it? This is the thing from Kid Icarus, isn't it? What is this called? Staff. Okay, that's, you know what? We're not going to get creative today. The staff is very stage dependent. I don't remember how... I think in Ultimate it works the same as in 4, because Ultimate was built on 4. The farther away you are from the opponent, the more effective it is. I think the more damage it does, the more knockback it does. You can't use it up close, and if you're in a crowded fight, you're probably going to have somebody up close. So... it's not that great. If you're on a stage like Great Cave Offensive or that one Fire Emblem stage with like the platforms that move up and down, and you know, because it's got like the 2 walk-offs and stuff, and you're on one end of the stage and he's on the other, then awesome! Congratulations on the free kill. But if you're on Battlefield, that's not really long enough to be effective. Not like hugely effective. You know what I mean? The spring. It's no more useful than any other thrown item that you could edgeguard somebody with. I mean, there's really no use for it. Okay, so this is our first S tier item. The stock flag. This is high risk, high reward, okay? A free stock in doubles is a big deal, all right? It is a big, big, big deal. The problem is you're very, very vulnerable when doing it, okay? When you're holding this stock, basically you can't use your aerials or your tilts or smash attacks because you'll end up throwing the thing. I don't think there's a way that you can use them, at least. Probably depends on your controller setup. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. But the thing is, the reward for that is outrageously high. So what you have to be observant of the situation, right? So if your partner is fighting one opponent and the other opponent is like about to respawn, that's a good time to use the stock flag, okay? Because you need, what, 3 seconds, 5 seconds of uninterrupted time to get the stock back. And if you can do that, like, and I think in the points match, I don't know why you would play points, but in the points matches, I think it gives you a point or something like that. So it's really, really good. It's really, really good. You got to be really strategic about it, and at all costs prevent your opponent from activating that. You know what I mean? Just go nuts, okay? Soccer ball. There are people who know how to use a soccer ball. There's probably a European somewhere who's like losing his mind. He's like, it's not a soccer ball, it's a football, because you kick it with your foot. But guess what you wear on your feet? That's right, socks. Soccer. Anyway, no, the angle of this thing is hard to predict. Like, you can hit it and it'll kind of bounce off him, go off in any random direction, and it's very powerful. It'll get some good hits. But it's not like, I just tend to avoid it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I just totally spat all over my computer. I tend to avoid it because it's unpredictable, and it's not going to hurt me unless somebody else kicks it towards me, which is nice, but it's otherwise just a pain in the butt, you know? It'll activate bombs because it's a fire attack, and it'll break crates and stuff, but it's no use. Smoke ball. Why? Like, sorry, I got nothing for you, dude. It's just a smoke ball. It's like, wait, what are you expecting to kill with this thing? Like, it's actually, you could argue that it helps your opponent, because if you stick it on your opponent, well, then you can't see what he's doing, you know? That doesn't help anybody, except for him. Smash ball. Probably better than the free stock, because it's much less risky. This is obviously the smash ball, you know, like, fair enough, man. You know, that's what they set up most of the advertising towards. I'm pretty sure there's been a smash ball in the commercials for every Smash game since Brawl, actually. I remember in the Brawl commercial where Mario, like, looks like he's forward airing, but then he, like, kind of grabs it, and then he goes... Anyway, the utility of your Smash, Final Smash, is very character dependent. Had to lift up my chair there. Obviously, if you have certain characters like Zelda, and you are an absolutely terrible human being, scum of the earth, you can do that thing where you, like, grab somebody who's above the ledge, and then, like, get them in your Triforce thing, and they'll just bounce them off the ledge in an untechable stage spike and kill. I will judge you for that, and I'm completely right to do so. Otherwise, no, Smash Ball is really great. A lot of people don't know this. The Smash attack from the Final Smash meter is actually not as strong. I think it does like half as much damage, it's supposed to at least, as the Smash Ball version. So go for the Smash Ball version first. It's important to note that obviously if you die while holding the Smash Ball, it'll go back onto the stage, so that the opposing team can get it, and then that's you're just really screwed. You know what I'm saying? Smart Bomb. Yeah, the Smart Bomb takes up so much space. Was this the Smart Bomb? What do they call that? I know that's from Star Fox. That is Smart Bomb, okay. That's from Star Fox 64. That's been a staple since, I think, Melee. No, Brawl. Yeah, no, it does a lot of damage. It's pretty good damage. Doesn't have that much KO power, but it's really, really effective at stage control. So you can cordon off a whole section of the stage. I'm fairly sure that regardless of your settings, it will still hit your partner. So watch out for that if you're in doubles. It doesn't directly kill. It's not going to send them straight to the blast zone. But it does have other uses like edge guarding that make it pretty highly effective. Screw attack. Yeah. By the way, these tiers aren't necessarily in order. I'm not going to try and order these. Screw Attack. It's good as a combo starter. It has some knockback on its own. It only screws the first 2 jumps. So if you're Jigglypuff, I think you get like 2 screw attacks and then no more. They changed something about that since Smash 4. I don't remember exactly, but I don't think it operates the same as it used to. It's not bad as like a combo extender, but it does like maybe 12% damage per screw attack jump. So, I mean, I guess if you're smart about it, you can use it to like extend combos, and that's very character dependent, that sort of thing. But it's not my first choice by any stretch. Okay, crates. I do have a thing for produces items. I'm actually not going to use that with crates. Crates are a viable attack because they roll, and you can hit them into your opponent. They're just crates, but they're on wheels, right? So then whoosh, hit the guy with the thing. When you hit them, well, actually, come to think of it, when you hit them, they don't do that much knockback. They're not the worst in the game. I would argue that Unira and Smash Ball, or Smoke Ball, that's a difference, are probably the worst in the game. But crates are like, yeah, the rolling crates aren't that helpful, in my opinion. You can sometimes build up some damage, you can sometimes get some kills on them, but they're not my first choice. For the same reasons as the Super Leaf, Jetpack is really, it's just a recovery tool. It doesn't actually matter. The Ray Gun is actually really good. And it's underrated, people don't really realize it. So with the Ray Gun, okay, and the Ray Gun has been in Smash since 64. Yeah, I think so, yeah. You can juggle, and I think Amiibo opponents actually know how to do this, like inherently. You can juggle the opponent by appropriately timing out your A presses, because you can juggle them to the blast zone, basically. So what'll happen is that, you know, they get hit by the bolt and they get launched up and forward a little bit, and then they start falling. And so if you make sure that there's always a beam under them by timing it appropriately and taking account of travel time, then you can carry it in the blast zone. The problem is it has knockback scaling, right? So, and they get farther out. So you have to change your timing on how you hit them for the ray gun to be effective. So the Ramblin' Evil Mushroom, it's from Earthbound. I was actually really excited when they added this in. It's just as annoying here as it was in Earthbound. In fact, what did it take? Like PSI healing beta or something like that to get rid of? Or gamma? I don't know. Whatever the second or third one is. Doesn't matter. So you have to kind of get lucky. It's not necessarily RNG dependent. It depends on how quickly your opponent responds to his controls being completely screwed up, which is terribly annoying. If you have it used on you, my condolences. Good luck. But the Rambling Evil Mushroom is terribly annoying. The Rage Blaster. Right there. The Rage Blaster, if I remember correctly, and I'll put up a note if I forget, or I'll put up a pinned comment or something with corrections for this whole video if I get something wrong. Rage Blaster does more damage and knockback the more damage you've taken, right? So, like, you get up to 100, I mean, that's pretty powerful, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely powerful enough, and they're large bolts. They're not particularly fast, but they're large. So it's not like you're, that was my light. It's not like you're, you know, it's not a big risk that you'll get a kill. The risk is that you'll be killed while using it, but it's relatively quick. So it's fine. It's not like you're in any more danger than you were before. The POW block, you're not really gonna kill with the POW block. You might, maybe, but not really. Dude, Pokeball, this is our next S tier item. The Pokeball is S tier. I realize that it's unpredictable, and I realize that a lot of the Pokemon are good, but not gonna KO. Nobody knows that until the thing comes out. And even then, a lot of them do KO. And they don't KO by raw power, they KO by being incredibly annoying, right? Like Staryu, how it'll like fly to the edge and then just start and just keep an opponent there until they either DI towards the blast zone or just fall off the ledge and die. It just built up like a ton of damage, right? So the Pokeball, like literally, I'm not going to order S tier, but in my personal item tier list, I go for Master Balls and Pokeballs before anything else, even the Smash Ball or whatever else, right? Because you can actually use it to help get the Smash Ball. So Pokeballs are absolutely, and Master Balls, absolutely my number one. There's no question about it. Poison Shroom, that's obvious. The Pitfall, dude, literally the best Edgeguard item in the game. All of them. Just Pitfalls. Just all out of all the Edgeguard items, it's the best. The reason it's the best is because if the opponent is trying to get back, if the opponent is in the air and they're hit with a Pitfall, immediate Meteor Smash. Or Spike or whatever the heck they changed it to. Okay? It just goes straight down. Doesn't even matter. Alright? So, like, you gotta be smart about it, but it's effectively a throwable item. Oh, that's right, we're not ordering these in tier. Never mind, you didn't say anything. But it's really, if I was going to order these, I'd put that at, like, top of B. Because it's only useful in edge guarding. Well, it's not only useful. But it's certainly nowhere as effective on stage as it is off stage, we'll put it that way. Because the burying effect isn't that helpful unless they're high damage. And then you get a free hit, right? But they can mash out of it, and most players are good enough to mash out of it. So it's like, all right, that's not that helpful. But edge guarding, Pitfall, absolutely. Every day of your life, that's going to be the item to go for an edge guard. Party balls just make items. They're not really an attackable item, and when you hit somebody, they don't do much damage. Doesn't really matter. The Ore Club is actually pretty good. I want to say, except for the home run bat, the forward smash on the Ore Club has like the most base knockback. The tornado that it produces is like, it doesn't kill. The tornado isn't going to kill. I'm pretty sure the tornado has vertical knockback, if I remember correct. I could be thinking of Me Sword Fighter's one neutral special, but I'm pretty sure the Ore Club can kill if you hit with the basic forward smash attack. The tornado is going to like unkill, but the forward smash is pretty good on its own. It's also a rather large target, so if you chuck it, it's big, it's more likely to hit. But I do go for the Ore Club just because. Oh, and it's great for spam as well. You can just spam the tornadoes and keep the opponent in the air. It's actually not bad. Mr. Saturn's only use is for shield breaks. I want to say, I don't think this was the case in 4 or Brawl, or I think in Melee and Ultimate, Mr. Saturn actually does, well, maybe not Melee, but he does a lot of shield damage specifically. So if you're not shielding, then, okay, whatever. You just get hit with Mr. Saturn. He feels fluffy and who cares, right? But if you're shielding, then it'll actually take up like most of your shield damage, just like that. So, you know, it's very doable to break someone's shield with it, but that in itself is not great unless you're fighting Jigglypuff. Because if you're in doubles or a 4-player match, well, what's the likelihood that you're going to get to sit there and charge a whole smash attack while their partner is like, oh shoot, my partner's about to get KO'd, right? So the shield break's not that helpful. What the heck is this thing? Is that the motion sensor bomb? Oh, okay, yeah. They change its appearance every single game. It's always different. I'm like, dude, just stick to one and go with it. I liked the Brawl design personally. Motion sensor bomb is actually pretty good. On the one hand, you know, you kind of have to be smart about it. It's kind of like Snake's down smash in Brawl, where he had the mine, the automatic mine versus the C4, right? So you can put down your down smash mine in Brawl. and then you can put down your C4, and you remotely detonate your C4, your mine goes off on its own. Kind of the same idea, but it does more knockback. Very powerful attack. The problem is, in a doubles environment, I think it will also hurt your partner. So you could potentially take out your bud, which we don't want to have happen. So that's why it's B tier instead of A tier, but it's actually really good. You can prematurely explode it with fire or with explosives, but that's rare because it's such a small target. So motion sensor bomb, not that bad. Metal box. The upsides are just as big as the downsides. The upsides are that you are incredibly heavy and you take almost no knockback. The downside is that you are incredibly heavy. Incredibly heavy. So if you get grabbed and thrown off stage, which is usually the best way to deal with a metal opponent, because you have base knockback on your grab and throw that isn't affected as much by their weight, whereas like most physical attacks are affected by weight. If you get thrown off stage or you're otherwise knocked off stage, you're pretty dead. You'd better have an insanely good recovery that just goes straight to the ledge, because otherwise you're just not going to make it, right? Or a tether recovery. Tether recoveries are great for that. They don't directly assist you in getting stocks. You know what? Actually, let's put that. We'll put that in the luck tier. Because if you get it and then you go off stage, just bye-bye, you know. Maxim Tomato is great. It's a free 50%. Can't argue with that. Master Ball is S tier for the same reasons as Pokeball, except it's consistently better unless you get, I think, Goldeen out of it. Like Mew and Goldeen don't do anything. I want to say that's it. But otherwise, like Master Ball is specifically designed for KOs, right? So like, yeah, obviously, Master Ball is my number one item to go for, just all the time. It almost always results in a free stock, you know. So the Lips Stick, it's basically just a typical throwing item, but you can get some damage off of it, because if you hit an opponent, they'll grow a flower, and then the flower will take up a little bit of damage. You have to keep hitting them to grow the flower more and more and more and more. The thing is, the flower doesn't last that long, the item doesn't last that long. You'll do maybe 20-30% damage residually from the flower, so it's like, it's not really that great, you know. The Lightning Bolt can be a bunch of free kills. So kind of like the timer, the Lightning Bolt is inconsistent. Sometimes you get Shrank, sometimes your team gets Shrank, sometimes everyone else gets Shrank, sometimes only your opponents get Shrank. Okay? It's lucky. It's RNG, frankly. And if it is RNG and it comes out in your favor, awesome. You have 3 tiny opponents who aren't going to kill you and will die from 1 hit. If you get screwed, you get screwed. So, upsides are large, downsides are larger. Well, they're large too. The Warp Star, this is a wild card because it affects everyone. You throw it and you know, you can have people go straight to the blast zone, okay, but I guarantee you 3 seconds after throwing it, everyone's position will have changed, and then suddenly it'll either hurt you or help you or whatever, depending where you throw it. So the Warp Star, or the that's from Galaxy, isn't it? What do they call that? The Super Launch Star. With the Super Launch Star, we get the Warp Star, we get the Starman. What other star items do we have? I think that's it. Anyway, who cares? Not that great of an item. Okay, the Killing Edge. I need to look up, what are the percentages? No, that's the Death Scythe. The Killing Edge is the one where when the blade glows purple, and you hit somebody with a forward smash, they're instantly dead. I'm pretty sure it's forward smash. Hold on a sec. Okay, it's a battering item. Every 242 frames, its blade glows pink. For 90 frames, that's a second and a half. And if the user swings it during this time, the damage and knockback dealt by the attack will be doubled. Oh, okay, so I was mixing it up with the Death Scythe. So it's not an insta-kill thing. It's basically just a battering item with a critical hit chance. Which is like, okay, I mean, that's not... Look, I've never used this thing successfully. This might be the one item that I don't really have great info on, I guess. So I'm just going to put it in, because it's time-based, right? So I'm just going to put it in C tier, and I'm going to let the commenters yell at me. Okay, whatever this thing is, what is that thing called? The little pointy shooty thing? What is... I know this from Kid Icarus, because I'm literate. Killer Eye. So this is stupid and I hate it, but it's not terrible. It's decent for stage control, but it's mostly just free damage. The thing about the Killer Eye is that you could edge guard with it, maybe. It's hypothetically possible, I guess. The Hothead, B tier. Okay, so the thing about the Hothead, and we'll go over this when we talk about the Bomb Chew a little bit, because the Hothead and the Bomb Chew are the same basic idea. The Hothead, you throw it on a platform, and it will just loop around the platform. You ever play Super Mario World? You know, in the castles, they have little fireballs, these things, and they just loop around the same platform over and 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 over. Hothead's the same idea. The thing is, when you hit the Hothead, it actually grows larger. Okay? And as it grows larger, it does more damage. And eventually, it gets big enough, unless it disappears in that time, to insta-kill opponents. Which is, like, really, really big. So, the Hothead is a great way to dominate the main platform. And it's reusable, but it doesn't last long enough for it to usually get to its fullest size unless you plan on it. And it's easy to avoid. Although I think as it gets bigger, it also gets faster. I could be wrong on that. So the Hothead is actually pretty decent. You do have to be smart about it. It's definitely... You don't want to be on the wrong end of it, right? But it's also... if you keep track of it, it's not that hard to avoid, and put it that way. Okay, the Hocotate... I don't know. Hocotate Bomb. Same thing with B tier. So the way the Hocotate Bomb works is that if you're on the left side of the stage and you throw it, it'll go up, and like 5 seconds later, it'll come back down and explode. It's not a tremendously large explosion. It's not that powerful of an explosion, but it's an explosion. And so if you can reasonably say in 5 to 7 seconds, my opponents are going to be where I am now, go for it, right? It'll also explode if you hit it hard enough, which is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of rude, I think. But it's... In doubles matches, there's usually people all over the stage, so you're probably going to hit somebody. I don't think it hurts you or your partner if you throw it. I think it only hurts opponents, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that's... I don't know, it's inconsistent at best. So, I apologize if you can hear my roommate screaming his head off in the background. He's going through a major depressive episode and doesn't want to realize it, so he's nurturing his emotions with large rounds of Call of Duty and cheating on his girlfriend a lot. So, we're just gonna let him have, because he just graduated college and he has no job prospects, and so, you know, hope you figure it out, buddy, because I sure as hell can't help you. Heart Container, easy S tier. It's a free stock, just because it heals you all the way back to 0. And if you're like at KO %, you know, heals you back to 0, bud. Like, that's it. And I think the fairy bottle is 100, and the heart container takes you all the way back to 0 no matter what. So, like, we want that. It's a free stock. Maybe it's not a free KO, but it's a free stock, right? So, you know, definitely go for the heart container. My tier list, if I was going to order this... Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead. If I was going to order this... No, that was right. It would probably be... Yeah, that'd be about right. Because it's fairly easy to keep somebody from getting a stock icon. Well, it'd be Smash Ball before the heart container. The nice thing is you can pick up food items with aerials. So I try to get the heart container on my way to the Smash Ball. But yeah, that's how I would order S tier. But the rest of this is not ordered. Don't think too hard about it. This is that little plant thing. I remember that showed up in a leak once. And it got people thinking that Isaac from Golden Sun was going to appear. So, what that like sticks to you and heals a few percent every turn? It's like 2-3% every turn. This isn't Pokemon. Every couple of seconds. It's not really that helpful. Same with the healing shield. Actually, I would say the healing shield is even worse because the healing shield or the healing thing, you have to be like in one geographic area and it doesn't even heal you that much. So like you could either camp for, 10 seconds and heal like 10 to 20%, which you're gonna take that damage back anyway just by getting hit with an up air or something, while your partner has to go deal with 2 opponents. That's not being a great teammate, you know what I'm saying? So those are both just terrible, terrible options. Dude, the hammer was actually like really, really good in 64 because characters were not that mobile, and the hammer was so big that you get free kills. But it keeps getting steadily nerfed. So with the hammer, I mean, the title says it all. Have to be smart about getting the free stock. You can't recover when you're using the hammer. I think it lasts for 12 seconds. You are vulnerable, but you can get hit by projectiles. You can get hit by anything. But most people are not going to challenge you when you have the hammer. They're just going to run. It's kind of like the Starman, right? The thing is, if you go off stage, or if you get knocked off stage, you're just dead. Just completely dead. Okay? So if you hit people with the hammer, great, easy stock. But if you get hit, and the hammer's still going, you are an absolute goner. There's no way to recover until that timer runs out. Once the timer runs out, I think you have a jump, and then you're up B if you're off stage. But it lasts long enough that that's rough. Okay, so in terms of ease of use, this actually belongs. This is the Gust Bellows, I think it's called. Where is it? Gust Bellows, the blowy item. If I want to communicate to somebody that I consider them subhuman, I will spam the Gust Bellows against them, because this is the most annoying item that God has ever put on this earth. And for some reason, Sakurai felt the need to have it in Smash. Okay? In terms of power level, it's S tier. Okay? The thing is, it's not completely free. It's not a set it and forget it like the Pokeballs. And it sometimes isn't effective against characters like Jigs or Kirby that just can make their way around it. Especially in doubles, I got really, really badly sunburned and I'm scratching my arm and it really hurts. In doubles, it's more likely that you'll get interrupted, but you could also get like more KOs from that too. So if you're smart about it, if you're like actually really good at using it, it could be S tier in terms of KOing. But it's highly contextual. It's definitely going to be more effective on Battlefield than on like the Great Cave Offensive, because there's no ledges on Great Cave Offensive, right? So it gets all of its utility from forcing failure to recover instead of just sending you straight to the blast zone with knockback, right? So that's why that's A tier. But competently, it could be used as S tier, no problem. Green Shell. The Green Shell is some sort of wild card. Technically, it can get batted back at you. The Green Shell is easy to shield, easy to parry, easy to reflect. But it's also pretty potent. Usually kills, mid to high percents, roughly. And in a doubles match, you're usually going to get at least one kill. Do be careful, because people can jump on it. I miss the red shell from Melee. The Melee red shell was cool, although not as effective. I think the green shell is good enough. It is kind of a one-and-done hazard. You throw it once and, it just goes off the stage and just is done. Which is why they call it a one-and-done hazard. But it's effective. effective. It's more effective in doubles than in singles, because in singles you can just, oh look, a green shield, green shell, shield, parry, okay, that's over with, and then you're just done. So it's more useful in doubles. The plant, that just makes you vulnerable. Okay, I think you can pull any item from it, but so what? I'd rather just have the item. The Gooey Bomb. This is Mega Man's side B, basically. Slightly more powerful. The Gooey Bomb, as you might imagine, is sticky, because it's the Gooey Bomb. The thing about the Gooey Bomb is that once you pick it up and throw it on somebody, it's going to keep sticking to people back and forth, and then it'll eventually explode on its own. And the problem is, it can also get stuck to you. So, do you really want that? Like, you kind of have to get lucky to get good with that and just kind of hope that it stays back on them, you know? And that doesn't usually happen. Golden Hammer. Okay, so the Golden Hammer is, I think, slightly more powerful than the regular hammer, the black one. They added the golden one in Brawl, if I remember correctly. A lot of people don't know this about the Golden Hammer, okay? If you're actively swinging and you mash A, okay, you can actually walk on air with the Golden Hammer. So you can jump and then just mash A and like walk your way towards, and it only lasts for a few seconds, but you can walk your way towards an opponent who's recovering, hit them with a Golden Hammer, and walk back. Yeah, you gotta be careful because, you know, much like the regular hammer, you can't recover, but you do have that A mashing. I want to say it lasts for about 3 seconds. So it's very tricky, but it is doable, right? So bear that in mind. Most people don't know that and don't expect that because they're not Smash OGs like me, but that's, now you know. Boss Galaga, whew. Boss Galaga is tricky. It's so RNG, not even RNG dependent, it's so situational dependent. I want to put it in A, and I want to put it in B, and I want to put it in C. It's not in C, it's definitely more potent than that. But it's... Okay, let me explain my decision making, and then maybe I'll come to a decision. Savoy Boss Gallagher works when you pick the item up, and then you throw it. It targets an opponent. It looks where that, at the exact frame that you throw it, it looks where they are right then, and it flies over to there to pick up the opponent in a tractor beam. And if they get caught in the tractor beam, I don't think there's a way to mash out. So if they get caught in the tractor beam, then they roll, and they're just dead. It's a free stock if they get caught, okay? The problem is, there's like a 3-second delay between when it pinpoints them as being there and when it gets there. So the odds are pretty high that your opponent has already moved. So it's not that great. It's not terrible. My throat's getting really... I actually have a throat condition that makes it painful to talk for long periods of time, and my voice cracking is part of the... That's why I have water over here. It's not terrible. It's not great. But if it succeeds, it's a free stock. You don't even have to work for it. You can just go, bye-bye, right? And then they're just gone, right? So we'll put it in B. When it works, it's S. And when it doesn't work, it's D. So the Freezy, I have actually honestly seen this kill. Freezy is like super effective on... That light is too hot. Freezy is super effective. Too hot, too bright. On high damaged enemies that were going to die anyway. I think if it's over like 120, you can mash out of the Freezy, I think, to some degree, but like they'll just get hit with the thing and then just fly up to the blast zone. Like, it's really funny. If you ever want to laugh, go to training and jack your opponent up to 999% and then hit him with a Freezy and he just flies away. It's really funny. So yeah, you do kind of have to get lucky. The Freezies also tend to break once they drop, so that's not so great. It's not bad, to be honest. Not a bad item. Franklin Badge is really, really good because it requires nothing of you once you pick it up. This thing just automatically reflects all projectiles, except for like Ness's PK Thunder when you're using it on your, and Lucas's when you're using it on yourself. Okay, at least I hope. That would suck. Imagine that Ness and Lucas can't use the Franklin badge from their own series, and they just die. Like that would suck. But it's a really, really great item. It requires nothing. I think it lasts for like 15 seconds or something like that. And it completely turns some matchups around, frankly. Like if you're playing against me Gunner and he's like using a missile or something, it's automatic reflect on everything, right? So and it completely neutralizes certain items as well. So definitely go for the Franklin badge. Franklin badge is dope. Food. Depends on how much of it there is. I'm gonna sort of put that in the sort of the non-judgment tier, because if you have one thing of food, oh boy, 3%. But if you have a party ball that breaks and it breaks open, there's a lot of food, and you just mash A, it'll automatically eat all the food around you, and then you heal like 50%. And that's great. So it's food on its own is still context dependent. Fire Flower. I've never seen somebody kill with the Fire Flower, except by going very, very deep off stage with an edge guard that they could have done with any other move in their inventory. The Fire Flower does... You can hold the Fire Flower and like advance towards your opponent to force them off stage. That is doable. I think they can air dodge away and then like roll away, and then you lost your advantage. If you get them all the way off stage, though, you can keep doing that with the Fire Flower until they get far enough that they can't recover. Hopefully you can recover, but like it's really more of a style than anything else. I mean, it would honestly be best if you chucked the Fire Flower at him once you got him off stage, and then like tried to edge guard with something that isn't going to just leave you completely vulnerable, because there is a lot of end lag on using the Fire Flower. Fire Bar. It's a pretty typical sword. I mean, yeah, it gets shorter. Once you've done like 2 forward smashes with it, it loses 2 of its blocks, and then it doesn't have much range. Then you can just like throw it. It's whatever, it's just a sword. Fake Smash Ball. Why would you ever interact with this? It's really a hazard for you and everyone else, because you're going to hit it, and then it just explodes, and then everyone dies. So there's absolutely no reason to interact with Fake Smash Ball. Fairy Bottle. Okay, so the Fairy Bottle, if you're under 100%, doesn't heal you at all. It's just a regular throwable item. If you're over 100%, it heals you for 100%, which is kind of like getting a free stock in some sense. Heals more than the maximum tomato, given that condition. Heals less than the heart container, because everything heals less than the heart container. I would put that in A, because it's better than maximum, not as good as the heart container, and it has that condition. So it's not quite a free stock, but it's pretty close. People don't really kill with the drill. Like, you can edge guard with the drill. That is a thing that, and it's easier to edge guard with the drill than with like the Fire Flower, don't get me wrong. Because it does carry the opponent towards the blast zone, but it's also so easy to dodge, I don't really see people killing with the drill that much. It happens. I'm sure somebody somewhere has done it and like thrown themselves a parade or whatever because they managed to do it, but it's just not. It's not really worth it. It's free damage, like just a little bit of free damage, but otherwise it's whatever. The Dragoon. Okay, most people think this is S tier. This is not S tier. You got to collect 3 parts. You get hit, you lose 1 or 2 parts. Okay, when you get 3 parts, awesome. Then you have to aim for somebody. Everyone can see what you're aiming at, and they can dodge it. Okay, so like if you're playing against somebody with no reaction time and the laggy controller, and they're kind of gnawing on the controller while they're like, okay, you can land the Dragoon every single time. But people who realize that they can just roll away and time it reasonably well, because they do have to predict, right? Because once you press A, it only advances forward like 10 to 15 frames, right? But if they can predict when you press A, then they can just start the roll, and you wasted all that time getting the Dragoon. So it's high effort, could be high reward, because I think it's a guaranteed kill, or at least it's almost a guaranteed kill, depending on weight and knockback and stuff. But it kills probably like 90% of the time. But it's high effort and moderate risk in getting the things. Most matches that have Dragoons that don't have like 99 stock matches and stuff, most people never actually get it because they just keep fighting over the pieces between themselves. So, Deku Nuts. These are decent. They're both explosives and stuns, depending on the context in which they're used. The most useful part is really the explosive, in my opinion. But they're so small that it's kind of hard to land, which is why they're in C tier. You do have to kind of get lucky for them to work well. Death's Scythe. Death's Scythe, probably B tier. So the way Death's Scythe works is that if your opponent is at 80%, you hit him with a forward smash holding the Death Scythe, dead. Just instantly, okay? Problem is, forward smash is kind of slow, not that big of a hitbox. Ditto with forward tilt at 120%. 120.1%, he's a goner, right? That's hard to do. And if he's at 120% already, he's probably gonna die in 2 seconds anyway, so it's not that helpful. So you do have to be smart about it. It's not really that high. It's basically just a sword that sometimes might randomly get you a free kill. There's a lot of like sword clones in this game, like the Lipstick, the Fire Bar, the Killing Edge, the Star Rod, Death Scythe, Ore Club, the Beam Sword. They pretty much all work the same and just have like one or two small quirks about each one, but they're all the same functionally. It's just a sword, you know? What is this thing called? I know that's from Kid Icarus, but what is it called? Daybreak, yeah. Is that from Kid Icarus? I don't know. Daybreak, same as the Dragoon. It's the same as the Dragoon, but instead of a reticule on screen, you just shoot the big laser beam across, and like the Dragoon, you might be able to get 2 or 3 opponents in it. With Daybreak, same thing. I mean, it's the same idea, you know. Sugos. Oh God, no. No, God, please. No, 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 no. That was a Michael Scott quote. So, Sugos might actually be the worst item in the game because they hurt everybody. They're a hazard. They're not really there to help anyone at all in any way whatsoever. The guy who activates the Sugos by hitting them gets targeted, but everyone gets hit by the Sugos, regardless of party. So there's no point to ever mess with the Sugos. Just stay as far away from them as you can, okay? Just do it. Just stay away. Crates. Nobody cares. Capsules. You know what? Capsules usually have an item, but there's a 1 in 8 chance that it's actually a reasonably powerful explosive, akin to a bomb. I think it's roughly the same as a bomb. So I will actually like throw capsules at my opponent and roll the dice, and that pays off more than I'd like to admit. It's kind of like getting a random Crockett in TF2. Bunny Hood. No. Bunny Hood's only useful for recovery. Otherwise, it makes you so stupidly fast that it's just hard to play the game properly. Why would you do that? I'm going to get more water. Final stretch. Okay, the bumper. Alright, so the bumper, I guess the bumper came first, but the bumper is the little brother of the Unira that's better at everything that the Unira ever tried to do. So the bumper, you know, you played Smash 64, right? Hasn't everyone played Smash 64? You've played it, right? Works exactly the same way. Actually, it was in 4, wasn't it? In Brawl. Was it not in Melee? It wasn't in Melee. Okay, who cares? The bumper is there is equally large upside and downside to the bumper. And the upside and downside are the same. Anything that touches it will go boink and just fly away. All right? You couldn't see that, but I pointed off screen. It was really dramatic. So the great news is you can edge guard really well with the bumper by just setting it like in the air right next to the ledge. Okay? So if like this is your ledge, stick it right there so that there's just no real way to get to the ledge. Okay? The problem is that it's going to hit you too. And it's going to hit your partner too. So you could really screw people over. The bumper is really just a wild card, which is why I'm going to put it in the gotta get lucky section. Same thing with Bullet Bill. Yeah, Bullet Bill. One big hit, decent knockback. A lot of knockback scaling, actually. I don't think there's that much base knockback. It's mostly knockback scaling. Because of that knockback scaling, they've got to be at high percents. If they're not at high percents, you're not going to get a kill, right? You might get lucky and get close to the blast zone, but you actually don't want to use Bullet Bill when you're close to the blast zone, unless you're going away from the blast zone. Because guess what? You still have to make it back to the stage. So, like, you know, you can kill all you want, but you're going to die. So don't do that. Boomerang, completely useless. Not technically. I've seen some people that do, like, boomerang combos and stuff. Those guys are nerds, and I look down on them. So I just watched a clip of King of the Hill. That's what's got me going. No, the boomerang, I mean, it doesn't really kill. I haven't seen it kill under 300% ever in my life. And it actually, like, once you pick it up and throw it, it's going to keep coming back to you, so you can't pick up other items, and you can't use smash attacks. It's colossally annoying. So, boomerang. Crash Bomber. You gotta get lucky on the Crash Bomber. So the thing about the Crash Bomber, it is high risk and moderate reward. Is that a spider? No. High risk and moderate reward. Okay? So with the Crash Bomber, you have the upside of a very large explosion that does reasonable damage and could kill, hypothetically. The downside is you have to stand here like this for like 5 seconds or 3 seconds or something for it to blow up and then kill everyone else. Okay? And that's a problem because if you're in a 4-man match, you're not going to get 3 seconds to stand still. You're just not. Like, that doesn't happen. So you don't want to be the first guy to use the Crash Bomber. You want to hit the first guy to use the Crash Bomber away from you while your partner is engaging the other one, and then use the thing, and hopefully it'll kill. That's really the strat. Don't be the first, be the second. And if you are the second, you might get lucky and kill, but you probably won't. Bomb Chew. Not as good as the Hothead, same basic idea. The Bomb Chew is a one-time use explosive. It starts out more lethal than the Hothead, but you only use it once, whereas the Hothead is the gift that keeps on giving until it dies. Right? So, like, it's not like the Bomb Chew is bad. Okay? But you're just... I want to say it can hit your partner, but it could also just trigger on a crate. It can trigger on a blast box. It can trigger on, I think, on a Pokemon or on an assist trophy or something like that. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not that great. Yeah, that's my thought. The Bomb. Okay, this is one of my favorite items, actually. The Bomb is. So the Bomb, it's a throwing item, but it's like a free kill. just right there. It's like a throwing item, but a free kill. If it connects, high base knockback, high knockback scaling. It's a bomb. It's an explosive. Right? That's how it goes. So the thing about the Bomb, you can shield it. It'll take up most of your shield. You can parry it, which is hard to do. I don't know if I've ever actually successfully done that before, but it is a thing that exists. But if basically if it connects over like 60%, that's a kill right there. I mean, you just have to correctly hit the person and not hit yourself. It does have a timer. I think it's like an 8 to 10 second timer once it starts going off. So, you know, play hot potato with it. Technically, the opponent can also catch it, which is a problem. I think air dodging, you can catch it. So you got to be careful about that. But if you're in a doubles scenario, you can probably hit them just fine with it. I don't think that'll be an issue. Blue shell. Honestly, a free stock. You know, it's dodgeable. It doesn't always KO, okay? So it's like, it's probably bottom of S, you know? But that's a power issue, not a function issue. It's fast enough and effective enough and unpredictable enough that you can sometimes get 2 stocks if both of your opponents are, or 2 kills if both of your opponents are near each other. And it does all the work for you. So you just pick it up and throw it, right? Like a half second, just blip, gone. And then it's going to go do the hard work for you. There's no way to stop it. There's actually no way. So I see absolutely no reason why you wouldn't go for the blue shell first before pretty much everything except for the stuff on the S tier list. Okay, we'll order S tier again at the end because this is getting. We'll order S tier at the end. Blast box. No, well, you got to get lucky, I guess. But the blast box, it explodes when it takes enough damage or when it takes a fire or explosion attack. It's really only useful depending on your matchup. So if you're playing against like a spammy PK Fire Ness, Blast Box is your best friend. Just throw it so it's next to him, and then he'll be like, I see an explosive box. I'm going to use a fire attack. Right? And then you get a free kill. But otherwise, it's just a hazard that could go off because of an item that goes wrong or something like that. Or a bomb that's gotten bored and decided to start walking around. I never understood why they're like that. Black hole's worthless. The thing about the black hole, okay, I should probably explain this. The black hole does nothing. It actually does worse than nothing. So, it's never going to kill. You are never, ever, ever going to kill anyone with a black hole at all, ever. What you will do is you will suck in all of the opponents and all of the items in. So your opponents will actually be able to hit you with the items that get sucked in. Granted, you will be able to hit them because they're like stuck in one place. They're moving around a lot, but they're still stuck in one place. Okay? So you get free damage on them, but they can still air dodge. So you didn't really do anything for yourself. You just kind of forced them to not be there. Or you kind of force them to be there and not do anything else for a couple seconds. And so that's not really helpful. Like at all. And they get items that get sucked into the black hole. They can just pick them up and throw them at you. So it's actually worse. Like, don't use the black hole. Beetle. S tier. The thing about the beetle. Yeah, you gotta get lucky. Okay. The beetle is in a chaotic match. Okay, so what happens with the beetle? You pick up the beetle, throw it, it'll just go straight forward until it latches onto somebody. I don't think there's a way to mash out of it, so it just takes them to the top of the blast zone and says, okay, you're coming with me. And then you get a free stock, or a free kill. And now, I don't think it affects your teammates. I think it only affects the opposing party, I hope. If it does affect your teammates, then that's more like B instead of S. But if it only hits your teammates, then there's no downside. And it works most of the time. You know what I'm saying? So, no way to mash out. Once it latches to you, you're basically... It's kind of like Boss Galaga, but actually good. You know? Like, much... Well, I mean, Boss Galaga's not bad. But yeah, the beetle, dude, free stock. Like, I completely changed my plan, my short-term plan, around avoiding the hell out of the beetle. Because that thing will just kill you immediately. Right? So, beetle... Beehive. The Beehive is like the Sugos, but not everyone gets... I mean, it's probably better than the Sugos technically, but not everyone gets attacked by it. At least the Sugos do a bit more damage, and they target whoever hit them. The Beehive just interrupts your attacks. You take like a couple % of damage. And like if you try to jump, it'll interrupt your jump. And it does like just a little bit of knockback with each hit, like just enough knockback that what your state is reset, what you're doing is reset. So like you can't really recover. Actually, you can spam up B and then it'll hit you and then you get another up B. But otherwise the Beehive is just annoying and kind of whatever. I do think it's exclusive to one person, so that's good. The Beam Sword. Oh wait, Beast Ball. Some people really like the Beast Ball. In 1v1s, it's really good. It's actually really, really good in 1v1s because it's fast and it hits easily and all that. In doubles, there's a lot more movement. In doubles, you're gonna be getting hit by 2 people at a time. So the Beast Ball is not gonna connect nearly as often as it otherwise would. Is my take on that. The end result of that being just lack of effectiveness, you know? If we're talking about 1v1, awesome, go for the Beast Ball, but we're not. We're talking about doubles or 4-player, and so it just tends to miss, is the point I'm trying to make. Beam Sword. That is... Oh, I've got a bug on my hand. Beam Sword is... Well, the Home Run Bat's actually the best sword item, but the Beam Sword is the second best sword item. It replaces your forward tilt and forward smash with a much, much longer forward smash and a moderately longer forward tilt, unless you're like Simon Belmont or something like that. And I think all characters have a unique one, actually. They get a unique forward tilt. So, anyway, but the Beam Sword is good. It's otherwise just a regular sword, but it has crazy reach, and you can use that for edge guarding. And so if you have a character that's like not great at edge guarding from the stage, you could either just throw the thing, or you can hit him with the forward smash on the Beam Sword, which is pretty good. And it covers a good chunk of the stage. I don't remember exactly how much it covers because they keep changing the distance between games. I remember in Melee it was like really huge. But it covers a pretty good reach, I think. Home Run Bat. So you do have to be smart about the Home Run Bat. Home Run Bat's the best sword item. The reason it's called the Home Run Bat, as you might imagine, is because if you hit somebody with a forward smash, the Home Run Bat, it is a one-hit KO. In a regular game of Smash, it depends on the stage. If you're playing on a roofed stage like Great Cave Offensive, then that doesn't apply, okay? But on pretty much every other stage in the game, if you hit somebody with a Home Run Bat, it's enough base knockback that it's straight to the blast zone, baby. You hit a home run, okay? A lot of people don't know this, actually, but in Melee, every character had a unique Home Run Bat angle. And so, I think it was like Captain Falcon and Sheik, their Home Run Bat angle was like straight up. So if you did Home Run Contest, and you hit it with the home run, the sandbag would just go straight up, and then right back down. It was like, why did you program it like this? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so Home Run Bat though is really, really good. You can also just use it as a throwing item. It's not as powerful in Ultimate as a throwing item as it was in like 4 or Brawl or any of the others. It used to be like the most powerful throwing item. Like you could just chuck it at somebody and the base knockback from that alone would just send them right to the blast zone. But they nerfed that a lot. But it's still surprisingly adequate. And its forward tilt has good base knockback too. So crates, rolling crates, or the barrel crates, we don't really care about those. They're not like kind of whatever. The banana might be the worst item in the game, maybe. Now smoke ball is probably the worst item in the game. But the banana is really not great, especially in doubles. Like it's actually decent in singles because that's you know, you can hit him with the banana once. The second time you hit him, it disappears, right? Or at least that's the rules for Diddy Kong's banana, which I think is just a regular banana. Banana forces a trip. You get hit by it. Whoopsie! You know what I'm saying? But in a doubles match, when you're getting hit by a lot of stuff all the time, you know, the 4% or whatever that you take from that doesn't really matter. So, banana, it's whatevs. Banana gun is like slightly better. Let me make sure I'm recording. Okay, good. Banana gun is slightly better. The pellet, it's actually almost like Beetle. Actually, it's closer to Steel Diver. I think I compared it to Steel Diver earlier. It's closer to Steel Diver, but it gets like one projectile, and the explosion from that projectile doesn't really kill that well. It's mostly knockback scaling, not base knockback, so you got to be at high damage. The good news is, once you shoot that, you have a banana. So, you know, in case you were hungry or something, I don't know. Yeah, so that's the banana gun. It's not great. It's certainly not something that I'd aim for regularly. Back shield is actually pretty good. The back shield, look, I've been playing Smash for 10 years, and I have done a lot of item matches in every single Smash game, okay? The back shield is defensively, like, the best. It's like Franklin Badge is, well, Franklin Badge is probably the best because of projectiles, and then back shield. Because everything behind you goes away. Like, all of it, okay? It is a deceptively large shield, okay? And the taller your character, the bigger the shield. So, the back shield is, like, it's gonna save your ass, we'll put it that way. When I was still trying to 100% the Spirit board, which I've gotten every Spirit in Smash Ultimate. When I was trying to 100% the Spirit board, I had back shield equipped. The reason I had back shield equipped is because the game is like, okay, well, you have equal stats to us, so we'll just put you against 15 opponents, right? And, you know, you'd get hit from so many different sides all the time that the back shield just nullified, like, most of them, you know? And so it let you get actually focused on the match instead of just dying all the time. Last and certainly not least, we're still going to order the S tier, by the way. Assist trophy, obvious S tier, easy S tier, really no question about it. So the thing is, the assist trophy, the Master Ball, and the Pokeball are all basically the same item. They spawn a large entity that attacks on your behalf. That's how that works. The Master Ball and Pokeball, you have to pick up, and then it has to hit a surface. So you have to throw it at a surface, and where it hits the surface is where it will open. The assist trophy, you have to, I mean, you can grab it in the air. If you grab it in the air, then when you next touch the ground, you'll automatically open it. And wherever you pick it up, you'll automatically open it. But that's still about a 3/4 second to a full second of lag time in which you can get hit, and you'll drop the assist trophy, right? So bear that in mind. It's not so much that one is necessarily better than the other. I think the Pokeball is safer, or the Pokeballs are safer than the assist trophy. Because of that fact, you don't have to stand still while you're doing them, you know? Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and order S tier then. This is the S tier, in case you forgot. We're going to put this, let's see. Assist trophy is definitely better than the Smash Ball, because the Smash Ball, you might kill. Assist trophy, you'll usually kill, right? Smash Balls are also skill dependent, whereas the assist trophy is, and really these are all the assist trophies in some sense. Actually, it was funny because the assist trophy got added in Brawl, even though I think there's data for it all the way back to Smash 64, and it was being compared to the Pokeball on the Smash Brothers Dojo website, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, so, yeah, okay. So the reason, let me explain these rankings. Master Ball is fairly straightforward. pretty high likelihood that you'll get a kill because these are big attacks Pokemon that often target opponents like Solgaleo, you know, that just generally tend to kill. You might get unlucky and get Goldeen, right? Same thing with the Pokeball. You might get unlucky and get, I think Magikarp is in that. But otherwise, it's the freaking Master Ball, right? Pokeball, same idea. Assist Trophy, same idea. I don't know of any bad Assist Trophies. Assist Trophies, they do sometimes get in the way, like the Nintendog that jumps in front of the screen. And like that's the only time in my life that I've ever wanted to kick puppies, you know, was the Nintendog. So they are a toss-up, but they really don't hurt you. They hurt everyone. So the downside is equally balanced out by your opponent suffering the same downside, basically. The Smash Ball's usefulness is character dependent and situation dependent, context dependent. If it connects, it does often lead to a KO, but some final smashes just don't. Like you can tech them, or you can edge guard them, or not edge guard. You can air dodge out of them, you know, and getting hit by them is really more a question of how well can you predict when your opponent's going to use it, right? So Smash Balls can miss. Heart Containers are effectively a free extra life with no real lag time. The stock flag is literally a free extra life, but with a lot of lag time. I want to say it's like a full 3 to 5 seconds, somewhere in there. So the stock icon can save your butt, but like it's a real risk. You know what I mean? The Beetle, you know what? Actually, let me look this up. Where's the Beetle? Is the Beetle guaranteed or not? I should just answer that question. Is there a way to mash out throwable items? Potentially KOs, picked up and thrown an opponent. Like with Boss Galaga, the Beetle can be escaped by button mashing. Victim will not be released automatically if enough time passes before reaching the upper boss line. Requires... Oh, really? I didn't know Galaga could be mashed out. Okay, so we'll... Yeah, we'll kick him down. Number of inputs increases with percent and thus becomes almost impossible to escape a high percents. So... Okay, so the heavier you are, the more time you have. Yeah, so we'll put that below the blue shell. But it still succeeds most of the time. It's very hard to mash out, in my opinion. But it is doable. It is doable. So... but the blue shell, it's a bomb at the exact right place. Or at least, hopefully at the exact right place. It's not like Boss Galaga where it's like, oh, you were here 3 seconds ago. I'll do this now, right? It drops down right when it's needed, right? So that's my item tier list for Smash Ultimate. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. What mechanics or features did I miss? I'll have a pinned comment where I address common complaints. So, oh, and something, like and subscribe. I'm sure you know how to do this already.